Well, hello again everybody. For those of you that watched my video on the infrared converted camera that I bought late on last year, you'll know that it was the little Panasonic Lumix DMC GF1. Henceforth I shall refer to it as a GF1, and here it is. It's the white body version. It's more like it's like a pearlescent white, quite attractive really, and it's the first white bodied camera that I've ever owned. Doesn't bother me because it does help it to stand out against the other black body cameras that I own. When I purchased it, I was hoping to make use of it with the Pergear 25mm wide angle lens, the manual focus lens that I've owned and loved for quite some time now. This is a cracking little lens. Sadly, one of the problems with the infrared cameras is the fact that with some lenses they generate a hotspot in the middle of the frame, which is rather awkward to get rid of in post. Not impossible, but difficult. And sadly, the Pergear does exactly that. It creates hotspots. So that is, I'm afraid, not going to get any use on the infrared GF1. I can use the GF1 quite happily with my 12 to 50 Zuiko zoom lens that I have, but that as a combination of lens and body doesn't really work too well. This is such a small compact body that the 12 to 50 zoom, it just doesn't look right or feel right, to be honest with you. So since I've owned it, I have been using it with the Samyang 7.5mm wide angle, which is absolutely fantastic. I love the combination. It's quite a chunky lens, this Samyang, quite weighty, but nevertheless it's small enough to be a nice compact combination to carry around in a shoulder bag. It will just about fit into a coat pocket, but I was also hoping to get something even smaller than this, which is why I started to investigate other potential prime lenses that would work on the GF1. Now, because most of my images are created using a wide angle lens of some description, I decided to look into the pancake lenses which would fit nicely onto the GF1. And there are two really. There's the Olympus 17mm 1.8, which is certainly one alternative. It equates to roughly a 35mm lens on a full frame camera, not quite wide enough for my personal taste. The other alternative is the Panasonic 14mm f2.5 lens, which is even more compact and is lighter and smaller than the Olympus equivalent, not by much. They're both very small compact lenses. So I was looking around for both of those. Now the Olympus 17mm, as I say, not really wide enough for me personally. I prefer something around about the 28mm as a wide angle first choice. So having ruled out the Olympus 17mm, I decided to look for the Lumix 14mm f2.5. They're quite common on the used market. Prices go from anything for around about £80 up to £120 used. Now I managed to find one not only in very good condition but complete with a GF1 body. So I was delighted to find this. It's not absolutely mint, there are a couple of marks around the base, but that is all. So I now am the proud owner of two GF1s, a black one and a white one. The black one is going to be a real sort of point and shoot street type camera combination with this 14mm. And I'm really looking forward to getting into it. I have been out fairly recently, just around town. I've got a little bit of B-roll which I can include now to show you around the shopping centre in Liverpool here, and I've taken a few stills with it, nothing to really write home about, but I thought I would give you a bit of an insight into the layout and appearance of a GF1 at the same time as showing you a few stills that I've managed to take with it in the past week or so. Very compact body. It was launched in 2009, so we're talking about a 14-year-old camera now. So do not be expecting any bells and whistles on these little cameras. When it was launched, I believe it was claimed to be the smallest interchangeable lens mirrorless camera on the market, and I can quite believe that. With the 14mm, it is superbly pocketable. When I'm out and about with it, I prefer to use it with this metal wide-angle lens hood. Just gives me more protection if I do have it around my neck, because at the moment it's on a neck strap. It may not live very long on this neck strap, I don't know, undecided yet. But it does give a bit of protection to the lens when I'm shooting with it as a street shooter. Very few bells and whistles. With a 14-year-old camera, you can't expect anything else other than that, to be honest with you. It's 12 megapixels, which is fine for me. I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. Quite a low resolution LCD screen, and don't be expecting any fantastic menu selections. Very basic. Obviously I can shoot in RAW or JPEG, and both if I so wish. It does offer video, but it's not going to be HD quality, and really in this day and age, that side of this particular camera I would say ignore, to be brutally honest with you. In terms of controls, on the top plate you've got the usual PASM control dial and a control wheel, which you can activate by either just turning or pressing in and then turning to access various parts of the menu. When you're not in the menu, it is used to control either your shutter speed or aperture, depending on how you've got the control dial set on the top plate. Nice tactile shutter release with a good noise, good sound. Obviously not touchscreen. Doesn't tilt, doesn't swivel, very basic, and no viewfinder. Now, for a lot of people that's going to be an instantaneous turn off. Why on earth would you buy a compact camera like this without an electronic viewfinder? Fair comment. My intention to use this camera in particular, as opposed to the infrared converted one, is to use this very much as a street shooting combination. So the fact that it doesn't have a viewfinder it's not a deal breaker for me. I can use this, and in fact the images that you are going to see were all taken from waist level without me ever looking at the LCD screen. In fact, one of the beauties of this is the fact that you can turn the display completely off, so that you're not even tempted to chimp the images until later on in the day or when you get back home. It's not a bad way to work. And of course, with the advantage of having a 28mm wide angle, you've normally got sufficient coverage not to be concentrating or needing to concentrate too much on the composition. The downside of working like that, of course, is that you can crop away an awful lot of your image if you're not careful. Now, purists will say, well, you know, that's crazy. Why would you do that? You've only got 12 megapixels to start with. You're on a micro four thirds sensor. You're going to lose quality hand over fist in cropping your images in even tighter. Fair comment if you are a pixel peeper, and if fantastic sharpness and resolution is what drives your photography. I'm not in that camp. I would much rather get the image, put up with a little bit of noise, a little bit of blurriness, perhaps through subject movement, rather than not get the image at all. That's my ethos, I guess. What else can I say about it? Okay, the memory card and battery are accessed through the hatch in the bottom of the camera. I know that people do get annoyed about having to access the memory card in this particular location. Doesn't bother me particularly because it's unlikely that I'm going to be using it inside an ever-ready case. I did get it complete with the original Lumix ever-ready case. When I bought the camera, by the way, it came boxed. I have the instructions, all the original packaging. What more could you ask for? Fantastic, really. Other than that, the controls on the back are laid out logically. You've got the 5-way pad on the back here, menu button right in the middle, and you have playback, autofocus or manual focus. These do not have focus peaking, but what they will do, just let me make sure I'm doing this correctly. Yep. As soon as you hit the, if you've got manual focus turned on, so in other words the camera will operate in both auto and manual focus. If you've got it set up in that way, then as soon as you rotate the focusing ring on the lens, it will automatically zoom in. So it has focus assist in magnifying the image for you, but it doesn't have focus peaking. You can't have everything in a 14-year-old body, let's be honest. Battery life for me has been fantastic. I can use this all day long without any problems whatsoever, and build quality on these I was really impressed with when I got the infrared version of this camera. Before investing in an infrared converted camera, I would never have considered buying a Panasonic camera. I certainly have changed my mind now. I'm really impressed with them. They're excellent little cameras. The prime lens is a must in my opinion for street shooting. When you're considering the likes of the little Ricoh GRD, the small sensor version that I have, you've got a wide angle lens and no choice with that. It's not interchangeable. Given the fact that these are interchangeable lens cameras, I could put a zoom lens on it, but really that defeats the object of the exercise. This is a street shooting little monster in my opinion, and I'm really pleased with it. The images that you'll see were taken over the last week, literally no more than that, in Liverpool city centre, some indoors, some outdoors. None of them are going to be, probably none of them are going to be keepers. There are a couple that I'm fairly happy with, and the majority of them have been converted to monochrome. In my opinion, that sort of suits the genre better than full colour. Obviously there are a couple in there where the colour is an important part of the image, so they have been left in full colour. The majority though have been converted to monochrome.
You have them after a year, so they're probably only. Do you want to get measured?
Now when it comes to future videos, I have one brand new piece of kit that I'm going to be testing and evaluating when we get some better weather, probably February, March time, and I have a used piece of kit that is going to take me out of my comfort zone. That's it for now. I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. I hope you continue to enjoy your photography. The whole idea behind this channel is to get enjoyment out of it as a hobby, as a pastime, as a profession, which is what I was at one stage, and not to worry too much about having to invest in the latest, the greatest, the most expensive bits of kit. It's lovely if you can afford to do that kind of thing, but if you're on a tight budget, and if you like exploring legacy equipment and vintage cameras, you can get an awful lot of enjoyment going down that route. Until the next time, look after yourselves, enjoy your photography, and I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.